We have audio now. It takes a few seconds always to get this going. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everything is, everybody's starting to get into the virtual way of doing things here. It's gonna work, guys. It's gonna work. We just have to work every day at this and just get better at it each day. And be committed. Well, this is Unit 1, the first full unit that we actually do. Before we go into it, I want you to take your first assignment, which is your ACT Words Week 2. That's one of your documents. Fully define each of these 6 words and use in a sentence. So pause the video and take care of this. Okay, for your bell work, I want you to critique and analyze the term industrialization, okay? Use a sheet of paper or in your notebook that you'll be scanning and sending to me. I want you to go to your bell work and tell me what the term industrialization means. You may use your phone for this. Give me 2 or 3 sentences on it. Pause and take care of this. Okay, with the end of Reconstruction, with America coming back together, albeit very imperfectly, we saw that America began to become a very powerful industrial country with factories growing, the population growing, but with this came a lot of problems. I want you to read page 155, Natural Resources Fuel Industry. This is where we show how all the timber, all the oil, all the iron, all the metal, all the natural resources we have helped fuel this massive industrial growth and population explosion. Pause and read your textbook, page 155. Okay, your second assignment, assignment 2, is Unit 1 terms. I want you to pause here. I want you to knock out all these Unit 1 terms, fully define, and then use them in a short sentence, please. Pause and take care of Unit 1 key terms. That's assignment number 2. Okay, let's go to our bell work section. Tell me what political machines were. Read page 205 and 206. I want you to take about 5 minutes and fully define what they were and how they impacted the USA in the late 1880s. Read page 205 and 206 for this. Pause and complete this bell work. Okay, short video, the introduction to the Industrial Revolution. Watch video 1, Turning Points in History, the Industrial Revolution. That is on your video list. You will see the YouTube link. Please click on it and watch video 1, Turning Points in History. Okay, what you see here is massive growth. Here's an example. Railroads reflect how we grew from one end of the country to the other. Now, first notice where most of the railroads are. You're going to see them in 2 places. First off, very heavily concentrated here in the Northeast, where our country started. Areas like Boston, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C., and Pittsburgh, major industrial areas here where our country started. And then a second area here in the Midwest, where we had lots of agricultural as well as factories, okay? What you don't see as much of is and this is where the population is, this is where the jobs are, okay? Population goes where there's opportunity, okay? What you'll see is there's less railroads in the South here, but even less out west. But you'll notice, however, that we've now accomplished having railroads from one end of the country all the way to the other. That's the Transcontinental Railroad. And it was having this ability to have railroads from one end of the country to the other that fueled this massive growth of our nation. Okay, watch video number 2. Video number 2, the Transcontinental Railroad. Pause this and watch video 2. Okay, short assignment here. I believe it's assignment number 3. It's on major railroad lines. It's assignments 3 and 4, I believe, actually. Two short assignments. Assignments 3 and 4. Complete these. They shouldn't take you more than about 10 minutes. So pause and take care of these 2 assignments. All right, back to political machines, which we started with. I want you to start understanding that with the rapid growth of our country and the rapid growth of our cities with industry came a lot of problems. And I'm going to introduce you to the term political machines. We did that a few minutes ago. Please read page 205 and 206. Pause and read page 205 and 206. Gilded age of politics, okay? This is the time that we're in. We see that political machines were rising to take over cities and control cities. Had a lot of scandals before we finally partially fixed the problem with civil service reform. To better understand this, I want you to watch video 3, Political Machines. Video 3, Political Machines. Okay, what is a political machine? It's the term there is shadow organizations operating behind the scenes that supported and manipulated city governments, okay? They used bribery, extortion, threats, you name it. They did whatever it takes to control the activities of a city behind the scene. It resulted in them getting very, very wealthy. You see here how these political machines would control the city governments through extortion and all that. Basically, it was, look, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. The most famous of these political machines, as we're going to see in a moment, is called Tammany Hall. Political machines, they controlled the activities of political parties in the city, okay? The political machines worked to make sure that their candidates were elected, their people were put in power, and then these people worked to their advantage. So it was an example of, look, I'm going to get you elected, but after you get elected, you're going to have to take care of my business. I'm going to have to get the best jobs. I'm going to have to get the best government contracts. And that's illegal. That is illegal. Political machines. The most corrupt of these, the most famous, was a man named Boss Tweed. Okay, he was the head of Tammany Hall. That was New York City's political machine, a very corrupt organization. He made millions of dollars by cheating the taxpayers, getting massive government contracts. I want you to watch the video number 4, Boss Tweed, not Boss Tweak, but Boss Tweed. Video number 4, pause and watch that, please. Thomas Nast was a political cartoonist who eventually helped to put him in jail and put him out of business. His name was Thomas Nast. He was a political cartoonist who did political cartoons in newspapers like this one right here. He helped expose and convict Boss Tweed of corruption. Now you see this main idea. As I've been saying all along, this shows that it's going to be on your test more than likely. This is a main point that you need to know. So write this down in your notes. Write this down in your notes. Thomas Nast, political cartoonist who helped expose and convict Boss Tweed of corruption. Here we see him in prison with the ball and chain on, the prison outfit, and all the damage that has been caused by the millions of dollars he cheated out of New York City. Okay, let's read. This is a rap reading sheet. Your assignment is number 5. Assignment number 5. I don't have that written down, but it's assignment number 5. I want you to read the sheet, Corruption Runs Wild. Corruption runs wild, and take care of that, please. It simply talks about how bad the political machine was. Okay, to your bell work again. Go to page 207, please, and write down in your bell work what the term patronage was and how political machines used patronage. Then on to page 208, answer for the second part of your bell work, how the Pendleton Civil Service Act helped resolve the issue. Page 207 and 208. Pause here and take care of your bell work. Here's a quick review for you. I would write these points down. I don't need to say them again, but I would write them down. So pause and write them down. Okay, patronage. This was common with the political machines, giving government jobs to people who helped a candidate get elected. So the political machines would operate behind the scenes and contribute money and other things to get their candidate elected. But then that candidate would give government jobs to the people who helped elect him, not to the most qualified. And that is illegal. It is wrong. It is immoral. Patronage, you need to know that term for your test. Patronage was replaced by civil service. That government job should go to the most qualified performers. Civil service, government jobs should go to the most qualified performers. You need to know both those terms. Please put them in your notes. It got so bad with patronage that one man became so upset he actually assassinated the president. Another main idea, President James Garfield was assassinated by a man who was denied a job due to patronage. I want you to watch, I believe it's assignment or video number 5. James Garfield is assassinated. It's a very sad story. Pause and watch video number 5. Okay, the Pendleton Civil Service Act was a government act that tried to correct patronage, and it partially took care of it. The Pendleton Civil Service Act, you need to know this for your test, said that federal jobs would be appointed by a bipartisan commission based on merit, based on who the best person was for the job. The Pendleton Civil Service Act. Jobs would not be appointed by, hey, I know the guy, he helped me out, but they would be appointed by the person best suited for the job. The Pendleton Civil Service Act. Trying to correct issues like what you see in the political cartoon below. Here's a guy goes into the office, the boss goes into another guy, and he says, about these 100 jobs you've created, they all appear to be your family and friends. The Pendleton Civil Service Act tried to correct that. Okay, 2 assignments now. Shot U.S. President dies. That's, I believe it's assignment 6 and 6B. I want you to take care of the shot U.S. President dies. It's a very simple assignment. Read the paragraphs and answer. After that, go to your chapter sheet, read pages 210 to 215, and as you're reading, answer these questions. They're very simple questions. They are in chronological order. Simply as you read, write these things down. Very simple questions. Pause and take care of those 2 assignments. Okay, so we had trouble with the cities. We also had trouble with farmers. Many farmers were in debt at this time. There had been lots of issues. And the farmers were pushing for political change that would give the common people, like farmers, more power. They formed collectives called the Grange, buying collectives and selling collectives, that groups, if you will, that tried to raise farm prices. That's a main idea. You need to know that. They also wanted to devalue the dollar, make it worth less so their debts would not be as bad, okay? They formed a party called the Populist Party. The farmers formed a party called the Populist Party. Okay, I want you to read page 147. It talks about the Panic of 1893, an economic crisis, kind of like we've been through recently, and then silver or gold. Read pages 147, the Panic of 1893, and silver or gold. Okay, so the farmers were trying to make their debts less bad. They were trying to basically change something called bimetallism. They were trying to convert to something called bimetallism, where our dollars, our American dollars, are backed by gold and silver both. Okay. And this is contrary to how they were backed up beforehand. They were on what was called the gold standard, where for every dollar we put out in America, there was a dollar of gold to back it up. The farmers were trying to change to something called bimetallism, where dollars were backed by both gold and silver, one or the other, instead of just gold alone. That's a main idea. You need to know what bimetallism means. Okay, this was a major product of the election of 1896. This was a major issue. Okay, and I want you to watch this video in a moment. William Jennings Bryan led the populace trying to push for bimetallism. He lost the election, but he carried the rural areas of the South and the West. The wealthier areas in the North, however, did not go for it. Watch video 6, the presidential election of 1896. Okay, with that in mind, I want you to, I wish you were here. I think we could do a better job of explaining this. It is a difficult topic, but what I want you to do is I want you to write another chapter sheet out. It's not sure which one it is on your assignment list. I believe it's assignment number 7, I believe, but it's the chapter sheet guided reading, pages 146 through 149, 146 through 149. Once again, make sure you take care of the shot U.S. President dies assignment. Okay. All right, let's go to another section here. We have the all these new inventions that were coming around with all this industrialization. We started building wealth with all these new inventions, like you see there an early automobile, believe it or not. That is an early car. Okay. The period was marked by inventions and innovations of several business leaders and inventors who dramatically changed our world. We're going to look at a few of those inventors. It's very, very interesting. The first one was Henry Bessemer, and you need to know him. It says main idea there. You need to know who Henry Bessemer was. He invented the Bessemer process, which made steel harder and yet more flexible. It made steel much more durable, much more usable. So this allowed bigger bridges to be built, taller buildings. It improved everything in terms of buildings and construction. I want you to watch video number 8 on the Bessemer process. Video 8, pause here. Okay. Another big assignment, another big one was George Pullman. He designed something that made transportation so much easier. Keep in mind now, we've now got a transcontinental railroad going from coast to coast. So he designed the Pullman railroad car, okay? Read page 165 and see just how, excuse me, just how powerful this was. This large railroad car here, it allowed transportation on a much longer scale and a much more comfortable scale, which allowed longer trips to be possible. George Pullman, read page 165, please. Okay, you've probably heard of this man, and wow, boy, did he really change the world. Alexander Graham Bell. He is most famous for developing the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, yes, that is a old telephone down here. There is a video to go with it. I believe it's video 9, I believe. It says Alexander Graham Bell. That is an early telephone. Yes, it's not a cell phone. Here you have where you talked into it. Here you have where you put your earpiece. It had a cord on it. There's the bell to show you it's ringing. And you physically dialed your number. Today, we would find that to be so archaic and just, oh my gosh, you know, it'd blow you away. It would hurt your fingers too as well. It really would hurt your fingers because it was that metal, it hurt after a while. Alexander Graham Bell, watch the accompanying YouTube video. possibly the greatest inventor of all time was Thomas Edison. You need to know about him. You need to know, just like with Alexander Graham Bell, you need to write both these inventors down, okay? He developed over 1,000 different things. He had 1,000 different patents, but he developed, among other things, the light bulb. The light bulb. Just think about how the light bulb changed our world. He also brought much greater uses to electricity, allowing us to have electricity in every home. He developed the record player, yes, recorded audio, the record player, and the motion picture camera. Think about just how many things he and his team were able to invent. To give you a better idea of this, I want you to watch video number 10, Thomas Edison, video 10. Pause and watch video 10. A very famous quote that he said, and you hear it still today, and it shows that it's those who work harder get the spoils. It's not always the smartest person. It says that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, meaning it's not just how smart you are, it's how hard you work, okay? Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of all time in the world, Thomas Edison. Okay, you're going to do an assignment now. Take a look here. I want you to make an Instagram profile of one of these inventors, any of these, okay? You can choose from, for example, Thomas Edison or Alexander Graham Bell, but also other people. James Watt, who invented the steam engine. Eli Whitney. Just pick out one of these men. Samuel Morse, who developed the telegraph. Henry Ford, the inventor of the car. Wright brothers, who flew the first airplane. Choose one of these guys, do a little research, and then make an Instagram poster on it, or just a normal poster telling me all these details, their name, when they were born, when they died, their major invention. Tell me how their invention changed the world. Have some fun with this. Pause and take care of this project, please. You can put it in your bell work. You can put it in your bell work, a full Instagram of one of these inventors. Pause and take care of it, please. Okay, moving on, we're talking about businesses now. Talking about businesses, I want you to read page 171 and 172. Tell me about two types of business growth, vertical integration and horizontal integration. Tell me what was wrong with these business practices. Simply read page 171 and 172. Tell me about vertical and horizontal integration. Please put it in your bell work. Okay, a little review here. These are test questions. I'm basically giving you test questions here. So you need to know this. You need to write it down. What was the number one reason that factories were able to be built away from rivers? The early factories, of course, had to be built near rivers, but now they did not need to be. So what was the number one reason that factories were able to be built away from rivers? You can put this in your bell work, but also put it in your notes because you're going to need it for your test. The answer? Railroads. That's right. Railroads allowed products to be moved easily instead of relying on rivers to transport them on a ship. So now with a railroad, you could put a factory in many more different places because you could transport the products much easier. Another question. Based on your knowledge of invention and inventors, the ones we've talked about, what made it possible to build big, tall skyscrapers like this during the 1800s? Was it new methods of steel, elevators, or cheap electric power? Put this in your bell work and in your notes. It's on your test. Yes, the answer is the Bessemer process. By making better steel, durable steel that lasted longer and was stronger, that allowed larger buildings to be built, taller buildings to be built. The Bessemer process. The Bessemer process. Okay. Forgot to mention this. I wanted to put this in very, very quickly. Just make sure you get this for your test. That with the farmers hurting so badly with the Populist Party, one change that did come about for them was the Interstate Commerce Act. The Interstate Commerce Act lowered railroad rates for farmers. This is an example of government getting involved to make sure that the common man was not shafted too much. The Interstate Commerce Act, you need to know this. It regulated trading charges between states and lowered the railroad prices for farmers to move their product. Interstate Commerce Act. Okay, so people are getting rich here, very, very rich. I want you to read page 170 and then 172 and read these two sections and tell me a little bit about big business in the 1800s. Just put a little bit of this in your notes. Read 170 and 172 and tell me a quick summary of big business, how people were getting wealthy in the late 1800s. All right. The first billionaire with all these businesses, all this growth, the first billionaire we had was a man named John D. Rockefeller. You need to know that. He established Standard Oil. He made a killing off of the oil industry and was very, very, very wealthy and very controversial. The one good thing about him, however, was he gave away over $500 million of his wealth as he got older in life, gave a lot of it to charity. John D. Rockefeller established Standard Oil. You need to know him. Make sure you write him down. Okay, so I want you to watch if he was, and give me your opinion if he was a good guy or a bad guy. Again, he was very controversial. He was investigated by Congress several times. Watch video number 11. It's a very good video. John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil. You see people like John D. Rockefeller forcing other people out of business. Fewer controlled more. Businesses trying to maximize profits by creating monopolies. A monopoly is where you have all the business. For example, you're the only person selling oil, or on a local basis, you're the only hamburger place in town, or you're the only feed store in town. You have a monopoly. And when you have a monopoly, you can control more and you have total control over prices. Okay. Another man I want you to read about here is, just give me about 2 paragraphs in the Bellwork section. I want you to tell me who Andrew Carnegie was and what methods he used to gain control of industry. Pages 171 and 172. Put that in your Bellwork section. Okay. Once again, read page 171, new business strategies. Make sure you read that. And then we're going to talk about vertical and horizontal integration, which we talked about earlier in the Bellwork. Vertical integration is where you control all of your suppliers from top to bottom, okay? Vertical integration where, let's say you own a sandwich shop or a bunch of sandwich shops, Subways, for example. Let's say you own, you're a man who owns a lot of Subways. Not only do you own the Subway sandwich shop, but you also control the people that make the paper plates that he needs. You also control the place that makes the tomatoes. You control the farms that make the lettuce. You control the animal farms that have the turkeys that are used in the sandwiches. So you control all of your suppliers from top to bottom. The raw materials, the factories, even the transportation, even the trucks that haul the meat and the bread back and forth. Vertical integration, you own everything from top to bottom. Horizontal integration is another method that would prove to be illegal. And horizontal integration is where you buy out all of your competitors, creating basically a monopoly. Let's say you own the McDonald's in Murfreesboro, and you buy out every other competitor. You buy out Hardee's, you buy out Burger King. You buy out all the burger places to where you're the only person selling hamburgers in town. At that point, you can raise prices because you're the only guy. At that point, you can lower your quality to make more money. But you're going to find out these things were proven to be illegal and were outlawed. Vertical and horizontal integration. It eliminated competition, and therefore it was declared illegal, both vertical integration and horizontal integration. Okay. As we come to the close of this week's unit, we're talking a little bit about the immigrants and the massive growth of our population of our nation because of all the jobs that needed to be filled. America truly became a land of opportunity. But with this, there was a lot of problems with all the new people. These immigrants, I want you to look at what would be defined as old immigrants who originally settled our nation, and then what was called new immigrants in the late 1800s. Okay, now let's just take a look at them here. The old immigrants, you see, they're all white, they are all European, and very, very conservative here. Now, people, obviously, they talk a certain way, they have certain customs, they have certain religious beliefs, and America was flooded with all types of immigrants from around the world, including, for example, people from Asia, people from Eastern Europe, people from South America, who thought differently, who ate different foods, who worshiped differently. So obviously there were clashes between old and new immigrants, and you're going to be writing about that. Okay? Let's read page 188. Through the Golden Door, the West Coast, San Francisco, so many people wanting to come to America for greater opportunity, greater jobs, and greater religious freedom. Read page 188, Through the Golden Door. Old immigrants, new immigrants. We mentioned it a minute ago. For example, the old immigrants, we were originally settled by people from England primarily, and Germany and France. They were white, they were Christian, they were Protestant, and they had certain customs, obviously. Well, with this massive growth on both coasts, we had all types of people from all around the world. We had Asian, we had Eastern European, all colors, all religions. They didn't speak English like the English did and all that. So radically different, understand that. And with this came problems. There were ethnic clusters, okay? People from a certain country would all stick together and not socialize with the older people who lived here. They were competing for jobs, something we see today even, competing for jobs, and they were far more desperate being brand new to the country, so therefore they would work for less. And that created something called nativism. One of your main ideas, I need you to define the term nativism, okay? That was one of the many, many problems that we had, and we still have this problem today, in fact. Nativism, please define that.